Lucky American coins. A 2019 D. Lincoln cent is one of the modern United States 1-cent coins struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse. At first glance, it may appear to be an ordinary penny that most people would overlook, but modern Lincoln cents can become interesting to collectors when they exhibit genuine mint errors, unusual die varieties, exceptional condition, or other characteristics that distinguish them from the millions of normal examples produced during the same year. The story of a 2019 D penny therefore begins with understanding what the coin actually is, how it was made, what it weighs, what its symbols mean, how its design connects to American history, and why a small copper-colored coin can sometimes attract attention far beyond its 1-cent face value. The 2019 D. Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909. The series itself is one of the most recognizable coin series in American history. For more than a century, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln has appeared on the obverse of the cent, making the coin instantly familiar to generations of Americans. Although the physical composition of the cent has changed over the years, the basic idea of the coin has remained remarkably consistent. It is the smallest denomination in everyday American coinage, and one of the most commonly encountered coins in circulation. The 2019 D cent was produced during a period when the Lincoln cent had already undergone several major design and composition changes. By 2019, the cent was no longer made of the traditional bronze composition used for many earlier Lincoln cents. Modern cents are primarily zinc with a thin copper coating. This composition was introduced in 1982 as the United States Mint moved away from the earlier copper-based composition because of rising metal costs. As a result, a normal 2019 D. Lincoln cent has a different internal structure from an older bronze Lincoln cent, even though the coin still has the familiar copper-colored appearance. The standard weight of a modern 2019 D. Lincoln cent is approximately 2.5 grams. Its diameter is approximately 19.05 millimeters, and its thickness is approximately 1.52 millimeters. The coin has a plain edge rather than the reeded edge seen on many United States dimes, quarters, half dollars, and other denominations. The composition is copper-plated zinc, consisting of a zinc core surrounded by a thin layer of copper. This composition is important when evaluating possible errors because some unusual appearances can be caused by damage, plating problems, environmental exposure, or chemical reactions rather than by an actual mint error. The D beneath the date is one of the most important identifying features of the coin. This small letter indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The United States Mint operates multiple production facilities, and mint marks allow collectors to identify where particular coins were manufactured. A 2019 cent with a D mint mark was produced at Denver, while a 2019 cent without a mint mark was produced at Philadelphia. The mint mark itself is not an error. It is an ordinary and intentional part of the coin's identification. The obverse of the 2019 D. Lincoln cent features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Lincoln's portrait has appeared on the cent since 1909, when the coin was introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth. The original Lincoln cent was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials eventually became part of the history of the series. The Lincoln portrait was revolutionary because it represented the first time a real historical American president appeared on a regularly circulating United States coin. Above Lincoln's portrait is the inscription, "In God We Trust." To the left of the portrait is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date 2019, followed by the Denver D mint mark. These inscriptions are not random decorations. Each contributes to the identity and symbolism of the coin. "In God We Trust" is the national motto of the United States and appears on many American coins and forms of currency. Liberty reflects a central concept in American political and cultural history. The date identifies the year of production, while the mint mark identifies the facility responsible for striking the coin. The reverse of the 2019 D Lincoln cent carries the Union Shield design introduced in 2010. This design replaced the previous Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been used from 1959 through 2008. In 2009, the Mint issued 4 different reverse designs to commemorate the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent. Then, beginning in 2010, the Union Shield reverse became the permanent design. The Union Shield reverse contains a shield with 13 vertical stripes, representing the 13 original colonies. Across the shield is a horizontal banner carrying the inscription, E pluribus unum, a Latin phrase meaning, out of many, one. The design symbolizes the unity of the states and the strength of the federal union. Above the shield appears United States of America, while the denomination 1 cent appears below. The phrase, E pluribus unum, is one of the most recognizable mottos associated with United States coinage. The reverse also features a small image of a scroll-like banner and the Union Shield itself. The overall design is intended to communicate national unity and the strength of the United States. Because the cent is such a small coin, many people may never stop to examine these details. However, collectors often study the smallest features of a coin because errors, die characteristics, and production anomalies can sometimes be found in these areas. A 2019 D cent in ordinary circulated condition is generally not a rare coin. Millions of cents were produced for commerce, and most examples can still be found in circulation, coin jars, bank rolls, and collections of modern United States cents. The mere fact that a coin is from 2019 does not make it valuable. The age of a coin is only one factor in determining its collectible value, and for modern coins, age alone is generally not enough to create substantial rarity. This is where the subject of errors becomes important. When collectors talk about a coin being an error, they are usually referring to a mistake that occurred during the manufacturing process at the mint. Genuine mint errors are different from post-mint damage. A coin can be scratched, bent, discolored, corroded, flattened, drilled, chemically altered, or damaged by machinery after leaving the mint. Such damage may look dramatic, but it usually does not make the coin valuable. A true mint error, on the other hand, occurred during production and can sometimes be highly collectible. One of the most important potential errors to examine on a 2019 D cent is a double die. A double die occurs during the creation of a die when a design element is impressed into the die more than once in slightly different positions. When coins are subsequently struck with that die, the affected design elements can show genuine doubling. Collectors carefully examine letters, numbers, and other details for signs of true hub doubling. However, not every coin that appears doubled actually has a double die. Machine doubling is a common source of confusion. Machine doubling can occur during the striking process and may create a flat, shelf-like appearance on letters or numbers. It is generally much less valuable than a genuine double die variety. Understanding the difference between true doubling and machine doubling is essential for anyone examining a 2019 D penny. A serious collector will not simply look at a photograph online and assume that any unusual shape is a rare error. Instead, the coin should be examined under magnification, compared with known examples, and, when appropriate, submitted to a professional authentication and grading service. This is particularly important when someone claims that a modern penny is worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of dollars. Another possible error category is a broad strike. A broad strike occurs when a coin is struck outside the retaining collar, causing the metal to spread beyond the normal diameter. A genuine broad strike can be interesting to collectors because the coin may have an unusual shape or expanded rim. The exact value depends on how dramatic the error is, how much of the design remains visible, the condition of the coin, and collector demand. A related error is an off-center strike. This occurs when the blank or planchette is not properly centered in the striking chamber. The resulting coin may have part of the design missing and an area of blank metal where the design was not struck. The percentage of off-center striking can affect desirability. A very minor misalignment may not add much value, while a dramatic off-center strike that clearly shows the date can be more desirable. The presence of the date is particularly important. Collectors often prefer dramatic off-center errors where the date remains fully visible because the coin can still be easily identified. If the date is completely missing or severely distorted, the coin may be harder to identify, although certain extreme errors can still be collectible. Another possibility is a clipped planchette. A clipped planchette occurs when the metal strip used to manufacture blanks is improperly punched, resulting in a coin with a curved or straight section missing from its edge. Genuine clips can take different forms, including curved clips, straight clips, and other shapes. The shape and characteristics of the missing section can help specialists determine whether the clip occurred during the minting process. A genuine clipped planchette often displays a feature known as the Blakesley effect. This refers to a weakness in the rim opposite the clipped area. The presence of such characteristics can help distinguish a genuine mint clip from post-mint damage. However, collectors should still be cautious because coins can be intentionally cut or damaged to imitate errors. Another type of possible error is a die crack. Over time, a coin die can develop cracks as a result of repeated striking. When a cracked die strikes coins, raised lines can appear on the coin's surface corresponding to the crack in the die. Some die cracks are small and ordinary, while large and dramatic die breaks can attract collector interest. A cud is another related phenomenon. A cud occurs when part of the die face breaks away, leaving a raised, unstruck area on the coin. Large cuds can be visually impressive. A 2019 cent with a dramatic and authenticated cud could be more interesting than an ordinary example, especially if the error is clearly visible. Die clashes are another category that collectors sometimes investigate. A die clash occurs when opposing dies come together without a planchette between them, causing portions of one die's design to appear on the opposite die. The resulting coins can show unexpected design elements in unusual locations. Such errors can be fascinating to specialists. There are also striking errors involving multiple strikes. A double strike occurs when a coin is struck more than once, sometimes with the second strike occurring after the coin has moved from its original position. The result may be dramatic doubling or overlapping design elements that are clearly different from a doubled die. A genuine double-struck coin can have significant collector appeal depending on the severity and visibility of the error. A brokerage is another unusual error. It can occur when a previously struck coin adheres to a die and then impresses its design into another blank. The resulting coin may have an incuse or mirrored version of the design. Brocades can be highly collectible when they are genuine and dramatic. A capped die error occurs when a coin sticks to one of the dies and gradually takes on a cap-like shape as additional coins are struck. This can produce a distorted coin with an unusual appearance. Such errors are often immediately recognizable to experienced error collectors. A struck-through error can happen when foreign material becomes trapped between the die and the planchette during striking. The resulting coin may show missing or distorted design details. The nature of the struck-through material can vary, and some examples are more interesting than others. There are also planchette errors. These occur before the coin is struck, during the production of the metal blanks. A wrong planchette error happens when a coin is struck on a planchette intended for a different denomination, or sometimes a different type of coin. Such errors can be extremely desirable because they are unusual and can be confirmed through measurements, weight, composition analysis, and other diagnostics. For a 2019 cent, a wrong planchette error would be especially unusual and would require strong authentication. A modern cent is expected to weigh approximately 2.5 grams. If a supposed 2019 cent weighs substantially differently, the difference could be a clue, but weight alone does not prove a wrong planchette error. Damage, wear, plating problems, or altered coins can also affect measurements. The coin's copper plating introduces another area of interest. Modern cents have a zinc core with a thin copper coating. If the copper plating is missing, improperly applied, or damaged during production, the coin may display an unusual color or surface appearance. Collectors sometimes refer to plating errors, but distinguishing a genuine mint-related plating problem from post-mint environmental damage can be difficult. A 2019 D cent with a genuine missing or incomplete copper plating error could potentially attract collector attention. However, it is important to remember that not every silver-colored or gray 2019 D cent is automatically valuable. Zinc cents can become discolored or lose their copper appearance due to environmental exposure, chemical reactions, or damage. Authentication is necessary before assigning a premium value. The same caution applies to coins that appear gold-colored, black, blue, green, or unusually bright. Many chemical treatments can change the appearance of copper-plated zinc cents. A coin that has been intentionally altered may have little or no additional collectible value. Genuine errors are generally valued because they occurred unintentionally during manufacturing and can be documented as authentic. The market value of a 2019 D Lincoln cent therefore exists on a very broad spectrum. A normal circulated example may be worth approximately its face value, while an uncirculated example can command a small premium depending on condition and demand. A high-grade certified example may be worth more, particularly if it reaches a top population level. A genuine major mint error could potentially be worth substantially more than a normal coin. But the specific claim of $1.874 billion should not be presented as a confirmed current market value. There is no credible basis for saying that an ordinary 2019 D Lincoln cent, even with a typical error, has a confirmed market price of $1.874 billion. Such numbers frequently appear in sensational online videos and social media posts, but they are not the same as verified auction results. This distinction is extremely important for coin collectors and viewers. A coin can be advertised online for an enormous amount of money, but an asking price is not the same thing as a realized sale price. Someone can list a penny for $1 billion, $10 billion, or any other amount, but that does not mean anyone is willing to pay that amount. The real market value of a collectible coin is determined by actual transactions, auction results, dealer offers, collector demand, rarity, authentication, and condition. For a YouTube documentary, it is more accurate to describe the $1.874 billion figure as a sensational or unverified claim rather than a confirmed market value. The interesting story is not that every 2019 D penny is worth billions. The interesting story is that collectors are constantly searching ordinary-looking coins for genuine mistakes that can make them unusual and collectible. The idea of finding a rare coin in everyday change is one of the reasons coin collecting remains so popular. A person might receive a penny at a store and casually throw it into a jar without looking at it. Another person might inspect the date, mint mark, lettering, and overall condition. The second person may occasionally discover something unusual. That does not mean every unusual-looking coin is valuable. In fact, most unusual-looking coins are not rare errors. Many are simply damaged. Coins spend years being transported through vending machines, cash registers, pockets, bags, drawers, parking lots, and counting machines. They can become scratched, dented, stained, bent, or chemically altered. This is why knowledge is more valuable than excitement. A collector who understands the difference between mint errors and damage has a much better chance of identifying genuinely interesting coins. The condition of a 2019 D cent is another important factor. Coin grading generally ranges from heavily worn circulated coins to nearly perfect mint state examples. Modern coins can be particularly challenging because they may show small marks from production, transportation, and storage even when they have never been used in commerce. For a coin to receive a very high grade, it generally needs strong luster, minimal contact marks, excellent strike quality, and attractive surfaces. The highest grades can be difficult to achieve because coins often come into contact with one another in large bags or rolls. Even a newly minted coin can acquire small marks before reaching collectors. Professional grading services can authenticate and encapsulate coins, assigning a numerical grade. Certified coins may trade more easily because buyers have greater confidence in their authenticity and condition. For an alleged high-value error, professional authentication is especially important. If someone believes they have a valuable 2019 D error cent, the first step should be careful examination. The coin should not be cleaned, polished, scraped, or chemically treated. Cleaning can permanently damage the surfaces and reduce collector value. A genuine error that is left in its original condition may be much more desirable than a coin that has been aggressively altered. A digital scale accurate to at least 1/100th of a gram can be useful for preliminary examination. A normal 2019 D cent should be around 2.5 grams. A measurement that is slightly different does not automatically indicate an error because scales can vary, and dirt or residue can affect readings. However, a substantial difference may justify further investigation. Calipers can also be used to measure diameter and thickness. Magnification can help identify possible doubling, die cracks, plating problems, and other characteristics. Good lighting is important. Photographs taken under different angles can reveal surface features that are difficult to see with the naked eye. Collectors should examine both sides of the coin. The obverse should be inspected around the date, mint mark, lettering, and Lincoln's portrait. The reverse should be examined around the shield, lettering, denomination, and outer rim. The edge should also be examined carefully. Although the 2019 D cent has a plain edge, unusual edge characteristics can sometimes reveal errors. A coin with an unexpected edge shape or significant deformation may deserve further investigation. The rim is another important area. A normal coin should have a consistent appearance around the perimeter. An unusual rim can sometimes indicate a broad strike, partial collar, or other striking error. However, rim damage can also occur after the coin leaves the mint, so the entire coin must be evaluated together. One of the biggest mistakes new collectors make is assuming that any doubling is valuable. True double dies and machine doubling are not the same. A true double die typically shows clear separation, or additional design elements that are part of the die itself. Machine doubling often looks flatter and shelf-like. The difference may be subtle. This is why specialists and professional authentication services are valuable. Online photographs can sometimes help with preliminary research, but they should not be considered definitive proof. The 2019 D cent also belongs to a period when the internet has dramatically changed coin collecting. Social media platforms have made it easier for people to share photographs of unusual coins. Some posts are educational, while others exaggerate values to attract attention. A headline claiming 2019 D penny worth $1.874 billion is likely to generate curiosity. People may click because they want to know whether they have a fortune sitting in a jar. But responsible coin content should distinguish between an exciting possibility and a documented fact. The reality is that the overwhelming majority of 2019 D cents are worth only a small amount. The possibility of a rare error exists, but the probability that a random penny is worth billions is essentially non-existent based on the known coin market. Nevertheless, a genuine error can still be fascinating. Collectors value rarity, historical interest, visual appeal, and authenticity. A coin does not need to be worth millions to be an important part of a collection. Consider the history behind the Lincoln cent. When the coin first appeared in 1909, it represented a major change in American coin design. The United States had traditionally used symbolic figures and allegorical representations on its coinage. The decision to place Lincoln's portrait on the cent was deeply connected to his historical importance and the centennial celebration of his birth. The coin also became associated with one of the most important periods in American history. Lincoln's presidency was defined by the Civil War and the struggle to preserve the Union. His image on the cent therefore carried powerful historical meaning. Over time, the reverse design changed. The original wheat ears reverse remained from 1909 until 1958. In 1959, the Lincoln Memorial reverse was introduced to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. In 2009, 4 different reverse designs were released to represent major stages of Lincoln's life. Then in 2010, the Union Shield reverse became permanent. A 2019 D-cent therefore represents the modern chapter of a coin series that has lasted for more than a century. Its small size hides a remarkable amount of history. The Union Shield design is especially meaningful because the shield represents the idea of national unity. The 13 stripes recall the original colonies, while the banner bearing E pluribus unum emphasizes the concept of unity from diversity. This symbolism gives the coin a historical dimension beyond its monetary value. Even if a 2019 D-cent is worth only 1 cent, it still carries the imagery of the United States and the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. The Denver Mint also has a long history. Coins produced at Denver have carried the D Mint mark for generations. Collectors frequently organize Lincoln cent collections by date and mint mark, making the small d an important feature. For collectors assembling a complete modern Lincoln cent collection, the 2019 D is a natural part of the series. While it is not considered a classic rarity simply because it was struck in Denver, coins in exceptional grades can be more difficult to find. Modern coin collecting often focuses on condition rarity. A coin may have been produced in large quantities, but still be difficult to locate in nearly flawless condition. This is particularly true for coins that were released into circulation. Imagine millions of 2019 D-cents being struck and distributed. Most entered commerce. They were placed in cash registers, given as change, stored in jars, carried in pockets, and eventually spent again. Every transaction exposed them to additional wear and contact marks. As time passed, fewer remained in truly pristine condition. This is why certified high-grade examples can sometimes bring premiums. The coin itself may be common, but a particular grade level may be scarce. For example, an ordinary circulated 2019 D-cent may have little premium above face value. An uncirculated coin may be worth more depending on grade. A superb gem example with exceptional surfaces may be more desirable. A top population coin can sometimes attract registry set collectors who compete for the finest known examples. However, even high-grade modern cents should not automatically be described as million-dollar coins. Their values remain determined by actual collector demand. The concept of population reports is important here. Professional grading companies maintain information about how many coins have been certified at different grades. If only a small number of coins have achieved a particular top grade, collectors may compete for them. But population data can change. More coins can be discovered and submitted for grading. Therefore, a coin that appears rare in a population report today may become more common tomorrow. This dynamic market is one reason coin values should be described carefully. A current estimate is not necessarily permanent. Prices can rise or fall depending on demand, economic conditions, auction results, and new discoveries. The same principle applies to errors. If a particular error is discovered in only a handful of examples, collectors may compete strongly for it. If many examples are later found, the premium may decline. A genuine 2019 D error can therefore be valuable, but the exact value depends on the specific error. A minor die crack might add only a small premium. A dramatic off-center strike might be worth considerably more. A major multiple strike could command a strong premium. A genuine wrong planchette error could be especially desirable. A spectacular and authenticated error with exceptional visual appeal could attract significant collector interest. But none of these categories automatically supports a $1.874 billion valuation. When discussing a coin with an alleged enormous value, it is also useful to explain the difference between worth, asking price, insurance value, and auction realization. A seller may list a coin for a huge asking price. That is not evidence of its market value. An insurance value may be higher than the expected sale price because it represents the estimated cost of replacing an item. An auction estimate may be an anticipated range rather than the final result. The realized auction price is what a buyer actually paid, although fees and premiums can complicate comparisons. For serious coin research, verified auction records and reputable dealer transactions are much more meaningful than sensational online listings. The 2019 Descent also demonstrates why collectors should learn the basics of coin terminology. Terms such as planchette, die, strike, mint mark, double die, machine doubling, broad strike, off-center, clipped planchette, cud, die crack, brockage, struck through, and wrong planchette are not merely technical vocabulary. They describe different stages and mechanisms of the minting process. Understanding these terms can transform the way someone looks at a coin. A planchette is the blank piece of metal before it receives the design. A die is the hardened tool that carries the design used to strike the coin. The striking process presses the planchette between dies under tremendous pressure. If everything works correctly, the result is a normal coin. If something goes wrong, an error can occur. This manufacturing process is highly controlled, but no industrial system is perfect. Occasionally, unusual coins escape into circulation. That is why error collectors remain interested in modern coins. A 2019 Descent is also a good example of the importance of documentation. If someone finds a suspected error, they should photograph it carefully, record its weight and measurements, and compare it with known examples. They should avoid making irreversible changes. If the coin appears promising, professional authentication is the next logical step. A certified error coin can be much easier to sell because the buyer has confidence that the error is genuine. An uncertified coin may still be valuable, but the buyer assumes greater risk. For extremely valuable coins, provenance can also matter. A documented history of ownership and previous sales can strengthen confidence in authenticity and value. The concept of provenance is especially important when dealing with unusual or expensive coins. If a coin has appeared in a major auction or has been authenticated by a respected organization, that history can be valuable. For an ordinary 2019 Descent, however, professional certification may cost more than the coin is worth. This is why collectors should consider the likely value before submitting every coin for grading. A practical approach is to learn first. Compare the coin with reliable references. Study the known errors for the specific year. Use magnification. Weigh the coin. Examine the edge. Take clear photographs. Then decide whether professional evaluation is justified. The most exciting part of coin collecting is often the search itself. A person can spend an afternoon looking through rolls of cents and discover nothing unusual. Another day, they might notice a coin with an unexpected shape or a striking anomaly. Even if the coin is not worth a fortune, the discovery can be educational. Coin collecting teaches patience. It teaches observation. It teaches history. It teaches manufacturing processes. And it teaches skepticism. That last lesson is especially important in the age of viral internet content. When a video claims that a common modern penny is worth $1.874 billion, viewers should ask several questions. Has the coin actually sold for that amount? Is there a verified auction record? Is the coin authenticated? What exact era does it have? How many examples are known? Is the valuation based on a real transaction, or merely an online asking price? These questions can separate reliable information from sensational claims. A responsible description of the 2019 Lincoln cent should therefore say that the coin has a face value of 1 cent, and that normal examples generally have modest collectible value. Genuine errors can command premiums, sometimes substantial ones, depending on rarity and desirability. Exceptional certified examples may also bring higher prices. However, the claim that a 2019 cent is currently worth $1.874 billion is not supported by credible market evidence. This does not make the coin uninteresting. In fact, the opposite is true. The 2019 cent is interesting precisely because it represents the intersection of ordinary money and specialized collecting. Millions of people see pennies every day, but only a small percentage take the time to study them. A penny can be overlooked because its face value is so small. Yet the manufacturing process behind that penny involves complex machinery, precision dies, metal blanks, quality control, distribution systems, and decades of accumulated numismatic tradition. The 2019 cent also reflects the continuing legacy of Abraham Lincoln. His portrait has remained on the cent for more than a century. The coin has survived changes in metal composition, reverse designs, minting technology, and economic conditions. From the wheat reverse to the Lincoln Memorial and eventually the Union Shield, the cent has evolved while maintaining its central identity. The D mint mark connects the coin to Denver. The date connects it to 2019. The portrait connects it to Lincoln. The Union Shield connects it to the idea of national unity. The denomination connects it to everyday commerce. And an authentic mint era, if present, connects it to the fascinating world of numismatics. That combination is what makes a coin worth studying. If you have a 2019 cent that you believe contains an error, begin by looking at the date and mint mark. Confirm that the D is present. Check the weight. Inspect the edge. Look for unusual doubling on the date and lettering. Examine the rim for signs of an off-center strike or broad strike. Check for missing copper plating. Look for die cracks, cuds, or other unusual features. Then compare your coin with verified examples. Do not assume that a damaged coin is a mint error. Do not clean the coin. Do not polish it. Do not scratch the surface to test the metal. Do not use chemicals. Do not remove the copper coating. Do not attempt to reshape the coin. These actions can destroy evidence and reduce value. Instead, preserve the coin exactly as you found it. If the coin appears genuinely unusual, consider submitting it to a recognized professional grading and authentication service.